2, 1, 0. Okay, at this time, we're going to open the Carver Conservation Commission meeting for October 16th, Wednesday, October 16th, yes. First order of business will be some discussion of some appointments. Okay, we have, I think, Mr. Randall first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you bring counsel?
Hello. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Doug Schneider. I'm a consulting civil engineer and land surveyor. Here to hopefully help Mr. Randall get through this situation we're in. If I can kind of run through some background to make sure I'm on board with everything that's transpired over the last 2 months.
Okay, we'll listen carefully, please go ahead.
Mr. Randall had filed a notice of intent several months ago about tearing down the King Philip Hall, as he was under orders from the building commissioner to demolish the building. And there was a public hearing scheduled sometime in the July 17th, I believe, that was continued to July 24th. And Mr. Randall was not present at that meeting. The board issued a letter outlining that he had an emergency order to tear the building down, but prior to doing the work, the board wanted to see a site plan, and they outlined 4 specific items that they wanted to see, such as the area of the building, location for a silt fence, and area of proposed gravel parking area that he had submitted in his notice. And on or about August,
Excuse me, did Mr. Randall receive that?
he received the letter, yes, at
Yes, okay,
some
thank you.
point. I'm not sure exactly the date of when he received it.
Just wanted to get it on the record, thanks.
Yeah, no, on or about August 8th, Mr. Randall and I had our first conversation about what he needed from this board. We played phone tag for a couple of days. I've known Gary for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. At that point, he explained to me the situation. They need a simple site plan from the commission, for the commission. And I told him we'd be happy to help him out, but given our current backlog, we couldn't jump on it today or the day we spoke, because we had, we got other commitments to deal with. He, on or about August 12th, he brought me a package of information, which included the letter from the commission and some other information relative to his property. And we started gathering the data we needed to do our survey so that we could prepare the plan that you were looking for. Then on August 26th, the building collapsed by itself.
Really?
And Mr. Randall called me that afternoon and asked if we could do anything to help him out in terms of speeding up the process here. We then went to the site on the 27th to do what we could to get the survey to figure out the size of the building and the area that needed to be altered to clean up the site. Did some survey work. At that point, the building was just in a pile of debris. Under the direction of the building commissioner, he had finished collapsing the building into a large pile that could then be removed away. That following weekend, he'd been in contact with the building inspector to get the site cleaned up. We got the building debris all removed, disposed of, and by Labor Day, it had the site graded off and cleaned up. And unbeknownst to Mr. Randall, on September 4th, the commission reconvened the continued public hearing that had been continued from back in July and issued a order of conditions allowing the building to be demolished, but not allowing any further work on the site. And due to Mr. Randall's ongoing work schedule, he never received notification of that until last week. He was surprised about when he found that the commission had issued the order of conditions. Called me up and asked what we could do to be here for tonight to try and at least give the commission a plan or talk about how we can move this forward at this point. All the work on the site has been done.
More work than we actually allowed has been done, correct?
That's correct.
Your order that was issued on the 4th only allowed for the demolition of the building.
Correct.
The cleanup work that Mr. Randall had done was done prior to that issuance of that order.
And the filling and grading.
The filling and grading around the foundation and in the foundation hole, if he had just left if he had removed the building debris and left the foundation there, we would have been left with an open hole in the ground. We brought in fill to make the site safe.
I really want to make this point at this time, which Mr. Randall is really guilty of keeping very poor contact with us, not answering our phones and our letters, claims that he hasn't received things. Well, this doesn't happen to many of our people that we deal with, and it's very unusual. I'm not happy with his behavior in this aspect.
May I say something, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman? You know, I thought that I had requested a continuance, on, I believe, I'm not sure of the date, but I did send an email that requested a continuance on this hearing. So I I didn't realize that it didn't go through. I thought I couldn't make it, and
Do you have a copy of that?
I have a digital copy. I faxed you, I sent you a copy of it.
So let me know when you're ready for
Okay.
what I have.
So, I did not know that these hearings were going on. July 17th, I was actually on my way here, and it was, the original hearing was canceled because you didn't have a quorum. And I did miss that it was continued at that point in time. So, I am at fault that I work out of town, I work extremely long hours, and it was a very, very busy season this year. Cranberries are in the tank, and, we're all doing what we can to survive, which means very, very long hours for me. And that's out of town for extended periods, and I am definitely guilty of not going to my mail for, weeks at a time. I can't make it. It opens up at 5:30 in the morning, and I have to be on the highway at 5:30 in the morning.
Well, then, in a case like this, when you're doing business with a town, you have to make arrangements to have another person pick up your mail or your messages. You have an ongoing business with the town, and you failed to keep in contact with that. You failed to make due diligence with what you should have done. Okay, I think the agent would like to say some things.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, this began back in April. We were actually notified by a neighbor that some pieces of the building had begun to collapse into the area behind the building. It's never been actually delineated where exactly the wetland starts, but it looked like it was falling into what would have been a wetland area. We sent Mr. Randall a letter on April 11th noting this and asked for him to give us a call at his earliest convenience to arrange a time to view the site. On April 16th, we did talk, and that a portion of the building has recently collapsed. This is April 16th. We would like to make sure that there are no permits needed for the removal of this debris. I informed him in this letter that the commission will discuss your project informally at its next meeting on April 17th, 2013. At that time, the commission will decide what, if any, further action they may take. So that was April 17th. We did let him know we were going to be discussing the meeting on April 17th. And I have a certified receipt for that. On sometime between then and early June, we had been trying to receive a notice of intent from Mr. Randall. Peg sent an email saying, we seem to be playing phone tag. We need to receive from you the notice of intent. So a 6:30 PM meeting was scheduled with you and Agent Hewins. You were unable to make that meeting. He was informed he needed to talk to the Historic District Commission. I don't actually know what happened with that. And that their meeting would be July 9th. Then on June 12th, Peg again wrote to Mr. Randall, copying me, and Gary had dropped off the information for 19 Green Street. There were a couple of little snafus. One form was given to us that should have gone to the DEP, but that stuff happens. The abutters list needed to get straightened out. And Peg was informing him of when we had to submit our legal ad, which would have been to run on June 28th. Then that was June 12th. On June 14th, I wrote to Gary. He had come in that morning to talk about the notice of intent. I asked for a map of the area, the distances to the wetland, other information. Okay, on July 11th, Peg let Mr. Randall know that we would not be meeting that night due to the lack of a quorum. Our next meeting would be July 24th. On July 29th, I sent an email, by email and certified mail, the emergency demolition form, the emergency certification form. As this gentleman pointed out, it was, our building commissioner did order for the building to be taken down.
Sorry, I just had a question now. You said that July 24th it was scheduled on the agenda.
We will hear your notice of intent at that meeting. That's Peg's email, yes.
Right. And did Mr. Randall appear that night?
No.
Okay, failure to appear.
And so on July 29th, I sent this by email and by certified mail to Mr. Randall. And I said, please note, however, that the commission did not close your public hearing concerning this building. They have requested that you submit an engineered plan showing, and then I underlined it very clearly, all the items that the commission had asked for, which was the square footage of the existing building prior to demolition. So before it's taken down, we need to know, what the area is. Install a silt fence around the perimeter of the work area prior to demolition, and to show the proposed square footage of the gravel parking area at the same location. Please also show the following on your engineered plan: a proposed retaining wall at the rear of the gravel parking area, the materials to be used to construct this proposed gravel parking area, and the existing topographical grades and slopes, and the proposed topography as well. Now, this is pretty standard. An applicant presents a plan. You're supposed to show the existing grades, proposed grades, existing topography, proposed topography. And so...
Now, that was sent when?
It's dated July 29th.
Okay.
Yep. So, I mean, the argument that it would have left a hole, that may be the case, but the commission didn't permit a fill there because, first of all, you didn't know.
It wouldn't have left a hole if he had appeared at these hearings and we'd taken care of it in the due process. It would have left a hole if he continued to flout the law and do what he felt like doing. Thank you. My opinion, just my opinion.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, may I? I did meet with the building inspector the day that the building collapsed, and, we went over. I actually called him yesterday, and I thought that he was going to try to get a letter out to me, but he didn't. But it is forthcoming. I was going to have him forward you the commission a copy.
You continue to fail to keep the Conservation Commission informed. You continue to fail to show up at meetings when you're scheduled.
I did not know, Mr. Chair, that I was scheduled for these meetings, and I did miss the 24th. I was ready for on the 17th on my hearing.
Doesn't
and
fly.
I did miss, pardon me?
Doesn't fly.
Yes, you did, Gary. We've been letting you know when the meetings are and when they've been, and the outcome of them.
That's not true. I haven't.
It's in the emails to you, Gary. I've got them right here. And in this letter,
I know that the 24th,
it says the next one was
I
going to
missed
be
that.
August 7th. I mean, we continued to tell you when these things were going to be. And I guess my main point, I don't want to get into an argument, is that certain work was permitted, other things weren't. filling what may or may not be a wetland. You guys don't even know yet because we didn't have a delineation done, so, because we had no plan. So, you know, whether or not that stuff is in a wetland, it's filled within 100 feet of a wetland, and that's, you know, that's a violation, so.
And, excuse me, Mr. Chair, but when I met with the building inspector, I called him to ask him what he was expecting of me. I thought we went over on the Monday that he was there, and he was there Tuesday when Doug was there doing the survey after the building collapsed. You know, and I called him yesterday to find out, you know, was there a misunderstanding on my part on what he wanted me to do? He wanted the site safe. You know, he did not want.
You called him yesterday about this.
Yes, because
Okay.
I just
Now, why,
found out, sir.
during all this time, why did you not inform the Concom about these things that were going on and the fact that you intended to fill when you had actually been told? You don't have the right to, actually, until we give you the permission.
I thought that the building inspector
No.
ordered me to. That was my
He
understanding.
ordered
That's
you
why
to
I called.
demolish the building, but not to fill
pardon?
within 100 feet of a wetland. He wouldn't do that. So, if
Mr.
I
Chairman,
may,
Mr. Chairman, if I can cut to the chase here.
Yep.
The situation right now we have is an order of conditions issued by the commission allowing the demolition of the building which has occurred.
Right.
He's done work to make the property safe. Where do we go from here? You know, that's the bottom line of where we're trying to get to satisfy the commission, and so we can move on with this. I mean, I think, you know, Mr. Randall, when he came to me, his intent was for us to prepare a plan to bring to the commission to show what he wants to do. Before the building collapsed, we were working on it. If the building was still standing, our intent was to be in front of this board with the plan, with the information that you were asking for, so that he could perform the work. Without, what he's done is what we would be bringing in front of you today. There's no difference in what.
But once the building collapsed, yes, you talked to the building commissioner about getting that debris removed. Your next step should have been immediately to talk to the Conservation Commission about what to do now, because you knew that you had that obligation. You knew that you had that obligation to fulfill the planning of this removal and the changing of the site to make it safe and suitable. And you failed to do that.
Mr. Chair, the building collapsed on a Monday.
Yes.
You know, I met with the building inspector that Monday. I met with him the next day, Tuesday, and on the following Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the site was cleaned up. So, you know, I don't.
When did the filling occur?
Mr. Chair, can I
Yes.
maybe clear up a couple of things? The previous letter that I just mentioned was July 27th, saying that the public hearing had been continued to August 7th. That went out in an email as well as certified mail. The next email, I believe it's the very next one that I sent, was August 6th, the day before our public hearing continuation, saying that they had voted, you had voted to issue an emergency certification, and bear in mind that the commission has also requested additional information, and then again, the same list of information, and that he was being given until August 24th to get this information to you. That's August 6th. The building collapsed on August 26th, 2 days after this had expired. And I mean, it seems to me there's been ample time to do something. Ask us, you know, can I come back to us, ask us to hold an additional meeting? I don't know.
Mr. Chair, I do have the letter my email that did request the extension. It was on August 6th, so that must have been during my course of trying to get in touch with Doug. And I had called, I believe, Peg, and said that it was going to take a couple of months to have this plan developed, because there was scheduling for the engineer. So I had
And the commission chose
requested an
not to
extension for
continue
the
it.
third Wednesday of September.
Right, and
I
the
thought I
commission
got
chose
that.
not to continue it, if you'll recall, Mr. Chair.
But I didn't know that. I do apologize for that, but I did not think on August 6th, because I was gonna have an 8-week delay anyways for the plan, I requested, and you may read this if you'd like, but to, what I thought was the third Wednesday of the month. I said September 18th, so I assume that's what it was. So I had requested to be September 18th. I just thought that that was gonna be the case because I wasn't gonna have a plan. I had no idea any of these things were going on. Previously, I was contacted by email with the certification was email, and then that was the last email that I got regarding these hearings that I am aware of, you know, and you can forward me the things that you sent me. You know, it's just one of those things that I was under the understanding that there was nothing happening until September 18th. I had no idea any of this was going on. You know, I don't know, you know, I apologize, but, you know, here's my email of my request, but you said, you know that I requested because you denied it, so, you know.
You knew that you were supposed to provide a bunch of information, but before August 24th.
But
And you didn't even try to do that.
But I called Peg and told her that it was gonna be it was gonna take a couple
Before
of
the plan
months.
came in. But the rest of the information, you couldn't even communicate that?
What information, sir?
That I sent to you at least twice in
Well,
emails.
the plan though, right? That, for the things that needed to be included on the engineering plan. I definitely got those things. I forwarded them to Doug, and that's what he was working on.
Well, the commission, I guess there's no real action that you can take tonight because there wasn't anything proposed on the agenda, but
Right. And
We've
under open meeting law, we can't
presented
do-
him with his order of conditions by hand, and we'll move on from there.
Right, we'll schedule you for a hearing next meeting.
Well, an appointment.
And,
if
well,
you- I think
another
it's-
appointment, can't we, well, he's, okay.
What-
Well,
You can
we've
figure
delivered
out
the
what you
order of
wanna do
conditions. Yeah, okay.
Next
okay.
time.
We'll schedule a definite appointment and get you on the agenda for next meeting.
My question, Mr. Chair, is how do we move forward at this point? You've issued an order of conditions based on the notice of intent that was originally filed. Are we going to amend that order of conditions?
That will be
Allowing-
discussed.
So are we going to reopen the public hearing, or because in order for us, I guess you're asking us to come back in 2 weeks to discuss what the next step will be?
Yeah, after we've decided what's, we have to decide whether we want to reopen the hearing, which we may want to do. It's a difficult decision to make because of the fact that it just has not been done properly. And because of that, there are a number of questions and a number of decisions that have to be taken. And we'll just have to see. There may be some penalties that will have to be assessed and so on. So at this point, I'd like to.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say that, you know, I had offered that building to the town for them to save it. There was a study done for it, for a reuse, you know, study and to save it, you know, and I just, you know, don't feel that, you know, I am wrong for the communication, I apologize, okay, but when you're in a situation when you're far away from home and far away from a lot of things, you just do become, you know, once removed. And I do apologize, but, you know, I would like to just tell you that, you know, I worked with the historical, I believe, the society. They had the option to save that building, and for 5 years, I worked with Jack and Connie, and, you know, and as a matter of fact, prior to the building coming down, I donated the architectural detail, you know, for that building. It was the most historic, some people considered it the most historic building in Carver. I never, you know, I always left that open for the town to have, okay? And I just, you know, I just feel like, you know, I feel like I deserve a little bit of latitude. I do apologize for my miscommunication, okay? But, you know, I did do the right thing for the last 5 years on that building. They had the option to save it, you know, and part of, you know, and I'm sure everybody's aware of that. You know, there was a reuse study done, and they were trying to save that in the Grange Hall.
That applies to the Historic Commission. Okay, this applies to the Conservation Commission. Because of the fact that the building is very close to wetlands, if not actually in them, any activity with that building and the cleanup of its demolition and so on and so forth is Conservation Commission business. And you, as a cranberry grower, should very well be aware of this. If you're not, then shame on you.
That is why he was in front of the commission in the first place.
Yes.
And like I said, he had contacted us to get the plan in place for the commission's review prior to the building collapsing. The building collapsed. It needed to be cleaned up.
But was the
Where do
plan
we-
ever presented?
Because the building collapsed before we had an opportunity to do our work that had been directed by the commission.
The details of the plan would have still been valid even after the building collapsed. The
Absolutely.
outline of the building, the location of the wetlands, all those things that we've been asking for and never received from you.
We also did, I want to point out, Mr. Chair, offer to send a list of engineering firms, alphabetical order, you know, in the event that his engineer was occupied, as he said, and I don't remember whether we
No
even heard
response.
back about that. Well, I don't know for sure, I don't want to.
Mr. Chair, you know what, I do have an engineer, and he has a schedule, you know, I mean, a lot of people, you know, he told me right out that he had a lot going on, and he would fit me in the best that he could. You know, I wasn't interested in starting a new relationship with an engineer. I have one. On August 6th is about when I found out that it was going to be a couple of months, and I called Peg and told her it was going to be a couple of months, and then that's when I sent out my email to request an extension to the 18th of September.
Well, again, this whole issue came up in April. I mean, this has been going on a really long time.
Right, and as I remember, Sarah, you apologized for the hearing taking so long. When I did file my notice, that you had said it took so long because of the holidays and this and that and the other thing, but I don't know, do you know when I filed my notice?
I don't
Do you-
know what holiday we're talking about.
I guess July 4th,
At
but
any
when
rate.
did I file my notice?
Oh, yes, and it was incomplete. Let me see. Well, we first let you know in April. In June, we still need to receive from you the notice of intent. June, looks like you dropped it off on June 12th, so that was 2 months later. But at any rate, I think we're late for some public hearings.
Okay. Right. So we'll see you folks in 2 weeks, okay?
For continued discussion,
Yes.
not a public hearing, but just a continued discussion.
Well, at this time, a continued discussion. Okay. We have a hearing scheduled for 7:15 for off South Meadow Road for AD Makepeace. Notice for it. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw. The public hearing will be held at 7:15 PM on Wednesday, October 16th, 2013, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent for AD Makepeace Company for the proposed remediation of an isolated vegetated wetland. Mediation will consist of the excavation of historic illegal dumping in the isolated vegetated wetland using a small excavator, and the illegal material will be removed with this excavator via a cart path off Wade Street. The project is entirely within an isolated vegetated wetland. Project is located at 0 South Meadow Road, Carver, Mass., a portion of map 107, lot 1 through 4, lot 1-4. All interested parties invited to attend. So, we have representatives from Makepeace here, correct?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Kane. With me this evening from Beals and Thomas is Sarah Stearns. and the gentleman behind me is from Lightship Engineering, and I have a complete mind block as to his name, so I'm horribly embarrassed. Tim Condon.
Okay.
Several months ago, maybe not that many months ago, received word that there may be something out on the South Meadow parcel, so,
Jim, I'm sorry, could you just, that mic, you can actually
Oh,
take
sure.
it out of there, and
oh, sure.
people at home.
We received word that there may be a case of illegal dumping at the South Meadow parcel. I called Beals and Thomas and asked them to take a field visit to the site. They did so. We knew we had something at that point, so we notified the planning office as well as your offices.
Got three? Only three?
Excuse me?
We only got 3 copies?
Excuse me, no, we have
Okay.
one.
Okay. One more commissioner would like one. Thank you, sir.
And no problem. Notify the planning office and your offices at Concom of the finding, and since that time, we've commissioned Beals and Thomas and Lightship to do the necessary work to do that cleanup. It is not a large amount of cleanup, in my opinion. However, it happens to be right in an isolated wetland, so there are certain steps that we should take in order to clean it up so that we can close this out.
I can go over the plan for anyone who would like to see it. I have it.
Sarah, I'm sorry, I really am, I feel bad, that's for the folks at home.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Will it stretch over? Okay. For the record, Sarah Stearns from Beals and Thomas. And I can just quickly go over the plan of the access to the isolated wetland for excavation and cleanup of the dumped material. Many members of the commission walked the site with me today. We did see it. We parked over on Wade Street and walked in through these historic cart paths and got to the small isolated area, which is shown on the plan. What you have in front of you is the same plan that I have here in blue. Very small area. Our plan is to bring in a small excavator. It should take about 1 day based on our findings. Yep, depending on what is found out there, but our hope is that it will be a very brief, very non-impacting project.
The commissioners who went on the walk, do you have any comments you'd like to say? I was one of those, and I felt it looked fine, and sounded like the plans would be suitable. But I'd like to have others.
One of the questions that came up in the site walk was, had a report been completed for the site? And I did bring a copy of the analytical report for the file. And I also have one more green card that came in after we submitted the first round. So that's a scanned copy. I didn't have the original, but you can add that in.
You said that report would be an inch thick.
I think it's double-sided.
Okay.
So,
Sarah,
if
go
I may,
ahead.
Mr. Chair, just in the event that there are butters here, I thought that we should make it really clear that this is indeed a very small area. It's the square feet of the area in question. Do we know about that?
I believe it's on the plan. Is it on the plan? It's not written on there, but it looks like about 40 by 80. It's 80 scale. I mean, excuse me, 40 scale, so.
Okay. So we probably will need a couple of final plans with that on there, just the square, since you're proposing to remove the material. It's just a technicality.
Okay.
But just 2, we don't need 5.
2 copies?
Yeah. So anyway, just to let people know, this is a very small area. They're proposing to use a small excavator. The cart path is probably not even big enough for a car, wide enough for a car. It's a small area. And I don't know whether you're the LSP, sir? Yes, I don't know whether you'd like for the LSP to discuss what might be there to alleviate any concerns neighbors might have.
Well, as far as what's there, it looks as though someone had dumped some septic. But otherwise, there's no real strong petroleum odor, there's no real strong concentration of any particular compound, so it's hard to say exactly what it is, but from smell, that's what it sounds like, or smells like.
Thank you. Jim, you might want to see if any of the abutters.
Yes, are there any butters to this project here? Did you, would you like to come up and take a quick look at the map and get an idea? What's your location? You're on Wade Street? 15 Wade, okay.
And while they're looking, if I may, has anyone not signed this sign-in sheet?
Yes, septic. I mean, possibly porta potty cleaning.
Okay, it just seems strange out in.
Yeah.
It's really in the middle of nowhere. It's a steep depression. Probably excavated a long time ago for sand, for the bogs, and then kind of became a wetland, and I guess someone just dumped long ago, and you sort of wouldn't know it was there unless you were really looking for it. Yeah. Oh, and may I ask, hi, could I ask both of you to sign in while you're here too? Thank you.
So,
And then I
Go ahead.
think
Sorry.
you are asking simply to let it just grow in naturally? Is that-
Yeah.
Okay, just so you guys know.
so, what do you think we'll need for this, Sarah, in the way of a filing of the notice? It's,
No.
No?
Another notice? No, this is all in this notice.
yeah,
Okay.
okay, so,
Pathway, it's under our bylaw only
Yeah.
because of the size of the area is
Right, the
less than
smallness, yeah.
5,000 square feet.
okay.
And they're simply asking to get in there, remove it, and then leave it alone. So,
Okay. Jen, do you have any other questions?
no, I think
Okay.
that's it.
Yes, Judy? Okay, we need a motion to close the hearing, I guess.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Moved and seconded to close the hearing for off South Meadow Road. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Pass unanimously. And now we'll hear from the agent regarding,
I can't really think of any special conditions
no.
that you would need.
yeah,
We just need the area shown on the site plan, but that's it's incidental.
okay, so that's fine.
I'll just-
Uh,
We can order them to do what they've asked to do.
Okay, so in that case, a motion to give the order of conditions as outlined by the agent, which are minimal, and just the filing of the map, the corrected map. So would someone make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve the order of conditions as outlined by the agent.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the order of conditions as outlined by the agent for the off South Meadow project of 80 Makepeace. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Thanks.
The next one.
So, we'll go to federal.
Here it is. I have it. Thank you.
Then we have
No, we can
Make
pretend.
another entry.
Just pretend you did.
now we have a hearing for the Makepeace on the Federal Road project.
Correct.
And so I'll read the notice on that. Notice hereby given in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, that a public hearing will be held at 7:30 PM on October 16, 2013, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall, to hear the request for determination of applicability for A.D. Makepeace Company to determine A, whether the work depicted on plans referenced is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, B, whether the boundaries of the resource area depicted on plans and/or maps referenced below are accurately delineated, and D, where's C? And
No, there's no C. There is no C
there's no C.
purposely, correct.
Okay. And whether the area and/or work depicted on plans referenced is subject to the jurisdiction of any municipal wetlands ordinance or bylaw of the town of Carver. The property is located at 0 Federal Road, Carver, Mass., map 131, lots 2-3 and 2-2. All interested parties are invited to attend. Okay. So,
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Jim Kane. With me this evening is Sarah Stearns. And we're here to start the process to, we believe, obtain your concurrence that the proposal would not be within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. We have had some luck in Wareham permitting solar sites. And now that the larger scale solar bylaw is mature in the town of Carver, it strikes us to move forward at this time to permit this area south of the landfill off of Federal Road, 0 Federal Road as it's referred to in your filing. In trying to find the site and work the site in a certain way to ensure the maximization of the generation of solar power, we also frankly want to stay out of your jurisdiction. Now, because of the amount of area needed to allow for the avoidance of shadowing and the efficient erection of the solar array, when you move it this far west away from your jurisdiction, you can't get that crazy that you're completely out of your jurisdiction. You want to be close to your jurisdiction, but still out of your jurisdiction. So what we have is a plan that is out of your jurisdiction, worthy of your review, obviously. I'm told by the agent, likely the subject of a site visit, which we're pleased to host. But then that will give us a sufficient eastern boundary on this project to complete the engineering such that we'll create the parcel to host a 6 megawatt generating facility south of the landfill. And I think from a non-technical standpoint, that's the fair and accurate depiction of why we're here this evening. Beals and Thomas has visited the site. They provided you folks with what we believe to be a complete filing, and we look forward to proving that out with you folks between now and your next meeting, and then hopefully receiving your concurrence that this is not within your jurisdiction. Any difficult questions, I'd ask that you now refer to Sarah.
And I would like to point out, Mr. Chair, that the colors, the color coding on this map are like a gold standard. They're really, really well done. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
you get 5 stars.
And I think it includes the whole spectrum of things that could possibly happen on a site, too.
Full rainbow.
Yeah, right.
As you look at the map, one of the things that we're working on prior to this site walk is staking in the field the corners of the proposed limit of work line so that when we do walk the site, we'll have some point of reference out in the middle of the woods to help orient ourselves and locate what we're looking at.
I take it the site will be all leveled. It'll be leveled when you start work.
Yes.
Do you contemplate that any great amount of earth will leave the site, or will it all be pretty much just moved in place?
Engineering has not been
Done,
completed,
okay.
I'm sorry. Engineering has not been completed to this point
Okay.
to see what will be leaving or not leaving. If it leaves, it'd likely go right to Cranberry Bogs for winter sanding.
Right, okay. So you won't have to deal with earth removal then? You don't?
No, I don't anticipate dealing with earth removal.
Well, okay, it's quite a big area, and I can see that when we walk it, we'll probably be spending some time there. We should arrange lunch, I think.
Mr. Chair, you might want to just ask if any abutters have any questions as well.
Right, are there any abutters to this project?
I just wasn't sure where Zero Federal Road was.
Well, that just means that it's an area off of Federal Road that doesn't have a house number associated with it, so that's what.
We were just curious because we live on Cranberry near Federal, but
Do you want to see the plan?
It's well,
The other end.
discussed it quarterly, so.
Yes.
yeah. This is well south of actually where the, CMAS waste pile is.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I might note, and I thank the neighbor for mentioning it, this has gone through the MEPA process on the state level. We have an advisory opinion, so the state level permitting is all set.
Great. So, Sarah, do you think there's anything more that we need to inquire about at this
I
point?
don't think so, just to set up a walk.
Right, I think we can have the walk and then finish it off in the next, in other words, should we just continue for 2 weeks?
I think that's a Sarah question. Do you think we can do that walk in, a couple of hours, or?
Oh, definitely,
okay.
yes.
Then the answer is yes.
Okay,
Particularly since the resource areas that we'll be looking at are all confined to one edge of the area.
The river-
Yeah,
riverside.
so we're basically just gonna walk down, or up and down along the edge of the river and look at the BBW that's flagged there. And the other resource areas that are located on the plan are land subject to flooding and the various buffer zones. So although it looks somewhat
Busy.
complicated and convoluted, we're really just talking about BBW, what we'll be looking at in the field, and how that compares to any kind of discussion we have out there.
okay, so probably at this time, we should move to continue until, what's in 2 weeks? Next year, October? No,
Actually, it would be
November.
November 6th.
November 6th, okay. So would somebody like to make that motion?
We make a motion to continue the hearing to November 6th for AD Makepeace.
And a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to continue the AD Makepeace hearing for off Federal Road to November 6th. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passed unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Succinct. We have our big solar project in Carver. Solar project in Carver. Take that, Rick.
I just want to make sure they're all.
All right.
Thank you. Oh, what's that? Sorry? Yeah, in the state, well, that's not the state forest.
Does it matter, it's right through it?
So,
Does it matter what?
and our next hearing is for 13 High Street. So, notice is hereby given
To be dated.
in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, that a public hearing will be held at 7:45 PM on Wednesday, October 16th, 2013, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the, losing it, to hear the notice of intent for Vernon Ferrer for the proposed construction of a new septic system and related site work. Portion of the project is within the 100-foot buffer zone of a wetland resource area and may be within the 200-foot riverfront area to the Muddy Pond Brook. The project is located at 13 High Street, Carver, Mass., map 19, lot 25. All interested parties are invited to attend. Mr. Webby.
Joe Webby, Webby Engineering. This is a septic upgrade repair at 13 High. There's a bordering vegetated wetland that was delineated by Walter Hewitson, and he also went out later to determine the edge of mean high water. He was unable to get out there because of severe flooding at the time in the beginning of October. We've delineated the 65-foot line. We also have the 100-foot. The existing cesspool is behind the dwelling right here. We're proposing to relocate the septic system over in this area to keep 100 feet away from the well that's currently inside the dwelling and 100 feet away from the neighboring well on this side. Basically, we're trying to do this upgrade as farther away from the wetlands as possible.
The well is going to remain in the same place?
Yes, it is.
Joe, we walked that today, and one thing was that we noticed the silt fence is seriously off location. So Mr. Vernon said that he would relocate it, but we'd want to make sure that you check it and make sure it's 65 feet from the wetland line.
Yeah, he's going to try to locate it pretty much where you're showing it here on the plan, Joe. In the field right now, it's about, 10 feet from the wetland line. So, I mean, he was trying to do the right thing. There's no question that he was trying to do the right
Just
thing.
wasn't familiar with it.
And he said he would try to relocate it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm available. I don't have any perks. I have one perk. I have one perk first thing in the morning in Plymouth, but after that, I'm available.
Okay, all right. And, we did walk this today, as Jim said. I had 3 commissioners and myself, and Vernon was also there. And we were going to try to finish this up, but I just realized that we don't have a DEP number. So, and this Peg printed this off just today, and I don't believe we can actually, we can't issue something without a DEP number. I don't know when they're gonna feel like getting around to it, but.
So should we continue in that case, really? Doesn't seem to be too much choice otherwise.
They
We can't
received
even-
it on the 7th, but they haven't issued.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had I mean, we know what the next number's gonna be, but we haven't technically gotten it from them.
Well, what you're saying, we can't really continue because we can't really have the hearing without the number.
No, you can have the hearing, you can open a hearing, you can
Okay.
continue a hearing,
Okay.
but you're really not supposed to close it
No.
without a number because you can't issue it without a number.
Correct,
And,
okay.
and then if you've closed your hearing, your clock starts ticking. You're
Right.
issuing, you have X number of days to issue it. Presumably, they would give you the number within those 21 days. I can't imagine that they wouldn't. So it's kind of a risk you take. I've always recommended that you don't close it, but I hate to make them wait, that's the other thing. So it's,
Well, in that case, it would seem that the suitable thing would be to continue. And hopefully we'll get the number.
I know, I just
We'll
feel
keep
bad.
checking,
It's a
'cause
long
they
time
used
to
to
wait.
notify
Can't
us
win
by
either way,
mail.
can you?
Excuse me?
Can't win either way.
Well, I
Continue
know.
it, they're gonna have to wait. If you don't continue it, you're doing something that isn't right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it's not right in the sense that if they don't give you the number within those 21 days, then
Right.
it's, forget what the term is, but you've essentially agreed to this without really agreeing to it. You've allowed it to happen without a real permit, so. You could,
Could we possibly call them tomorrow and ask, just to jog them
yeah,
notes?
yeah. I mean, I printed this off just today from their website, and I just realized it tonight. Could schedule an earlier meeting, before November 6th. You could go ahead and vote it on it and just hope they get it to us within 21 days. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
And we don't know why it didn't come in.
It was submitted on,
This is the 7th, I think. They received it.
oh yeah, they received it back on the 7th
The
of
7th
October, so,
of
it's
October,
been
and
a little,
I check it
little
every
while.
day. They used to notify us by mail, now you have to go online to get it.
Yeah.
And
And
as of
it
today,
has
it
been a
wasn't
little
up there.
while. It's
It
not,
has.
it's not a
Maybe they're probably government
complicated
shutdown,
filing,
I
yeah.
know.
You're probably using Gary Randall's
Oh, Monday
computer.
was a holiday, that's true, Monday was a holiday, yeah.
I would hate to continue it and then have the number come in tomorrow and have to make them wait, but,
Do you wanna take a chance?
well, it's up to you guys. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know, I think we should continue it, I really do, because of the fact that it's a certain legitimacy that having the number gives us, and until we get that number, we're flying by the seat of our pants.
Well, can we all meet on another meeting on next Wednesday?
Say that again.
Can we schedule another meeting earlier, like you said?
Sure. I mean,
The
I'm
number
fine
comes
with that.
through, we can notify everyone, maybe we
That's-
could even do like a quick, we
Yeah.
have to know, we have to
Yeah.
post it 48
Yeah,
hours in
40
advance.
Right.
48 hours.
But we have done the daytime meetings,
Yes,
if we could get people together here at, say, noontime,
sure.
and just do, 10-minute,
5 minutes.
That
5
would-
minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah, do that, okay.
And so, we can keep checking every day, as soon as we get it,
When
we
that
can,
comes in, you have to post it for 48 hours.
48
and
hours in
then-
advance,
And then
under
we'll do
open
that.
meeting, right.
Any way of
Does that work for you
jiggling
guys?
the number, thank you, jiggling the numbers, the people, who's gonna give you the number?
Southeast Regional Office.
Right.
We don't know, Russ, some anonymous, but I know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be 500, because it's like the next
It's
number.
always in sequence.
But-
I didn't know if there was any way of contacting them and saying, we submitted this, such and so date, and we haven't heard. Everybody's waiting, we know what the number's gonna be, even tell them.
Oh, sure. I mean, I can do that.
Unless there's something we don't know about it.
It's just not here right now, tonight.
Yeah.
It's still missing right now.
Yeah.
Let's continue with an understanding that if we get earlier notification of the number, we will then call for a meeting.
Special meeting.
Post a special meeting to deal with just this one
Yeah.
problem, one situation.
So we can get her done.
Well, you're gonna have to vote that.
Yeah.
Right. So shall we have a motion to continue under those circumstances?
I'll make a motion to continue the meeting. If the number for our DEP number comes in, we will hold a special meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to continue the discussion and the meeting on, hearing on 13 High Street, and with the understanding that if we do receive a DEP number prior to the next meeting, we will post a notice and hold within 48 hours a special meeting to discuss this one case. So, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Yeah,
You can't issue it without.
yeah, I mean, it just doesn't, it's not gonna work. Yeah, so Joe, if I may, Mr. Chair, if
Yeah.
you could, if you should get in touch with Vernon in the morning, I will try to get in touch with him too, but he was gonna go ahead and put the fence up, and that's fine, I think, but just don't start excavating. Tell them we're really sorry. Thank you, Rick. Get to it as soon as we. Okay, okay. Sounds good. All right. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so let's see, we've got some bills to discuss and pay, hopefully. To the amount of $1,375.08.
There's details of what they were
Details.
for.
Anybody want to challenge those 8 cents? And could we have a motion to pay the bills in the amount of 13, what it was? 1375-08.08.
I will make a motion to approve the bills for $1,375.08.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded to pay the bills of 1375.08. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass unanimous. And minutes for September 18th. Where was I?
Do you want a motion?
Yes, motion to approve if everybody's happy about the minutes.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of September 18th as written.
Second on that? Oh, so, reviewing.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of September 18th as written. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I'm abstaining, having been absent. Okay, next item. For our information, okay, the letters about Meadowbrook Way and the cleanup, and that's been taken care of, right?
Yep.
And
I thought
the,
it was a very nice letter.
yes. It's good. Some people do respond to our letters. And now the AD Makepeace Stone at mixed-use development. Oh, golly. Yes. And the MAC Fall Conference, that may, want to take a little look at that. It's still coming to Marie. Maybe we should notify MACC that our secretary's now Peg.
They know that she's on our staff.
Yeah, well, it's the email address is Marie Vitale.
Oh.
Okay,
It happens.
not a big deal, not a big deal.
I didn't even notice that.
it's gonna be at a different location now, eh? Higgins, Clark. Do you think there's anything else, Sarah? We should,
No, that's it, Jim.
so I'm set. Are we, I'm filling out my discriminatory harassment policy notice, which I guess I,
That's all the business we have, actually, Mr. Chair.
failing to see any additional business, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?